A lot of winning taking place. I don't think enough people talking about it. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. The radio show is about to join us right here. Let's get into it. California has been blocked from enforcing their mask ban on ICE agents. You've seen President Trump win on the idea of detaining illegal immigrants. There have been a lot of wins for the president, a lot of losses for over-aggressive, overzealous, and I will argue anti-American progressive forces. Not enough talking about that. Not enough mentions of, dear Lord, these lower courts filled with activist judges do engage in all sorts of nonsense. But when you get to, I don't know, actual adults, people who aren't activists, they're actually able to apply the law and say, well, the president, of course, has this right. When it comes to masks in California, these are federal officials and there's a supremacy clause. State law doesn't get to affect that. I'm a federalist. I'm a believer in states' rights. But sorry, you don't get everything you want in this society. And if you think the state should be able to override the federal government, well, what kind of society do these people want anyway? Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. The show sheet is up there. Everything I have been talking about or I think is important is there on the sheet. Check it out for yourself. Go to TonyKatz.com. Be a subscriber if you choose. A lot of wins. A lot of wins for the president. This is very, very good stuff. But there's probably no win bigger right now than the win regarding the Epstein files. From the beginning, this show, I am on record. The Epstein files should be released in full. Do I accept redactions? I do accept redactions. There are people who were abused and abused horrifically. There are people who are in the files who did nothing wrong, and I don't want their lives destroyed. And so I did disagree with the legislation that was passed, that was pushed through by circumventing regular order with something called the discharge petition that brought this to the floor for a vote. I favor the release. I just favored a little bit of care. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene did not care. Someone who I'm thrilled has retired, and let's never think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is some kind of great American engaged in some great American talk. No, that is a jilted lover, ladies and gentlemen. We can get to that another time. But now we are releasing data. I have argued from the beginning that when President Trump said, why are we paying attention to the Epstein files, that he was wrong. It was a mistake, a rare one, not understanding where the people were, and it was a mistake. And then, of course, some people, being the acolytes that they are and doing whatever it is that they're told, said, well, President Trump doesn't want us to talk about this, so let's not talk about it. And they were wrong. Happily said they were wrong, took the slings and arrows, didn't matter. They were wrong. It does matter to the American people. It should matter. People were involved with abusing children. We need to find them and we need to arrest them. But nothing has been more disgusting than watching the political left take this story and say, how can we use this politically? I put forward to you that the vast majority of progressives don't give a good holy damn about children. It's only how can they destroy Trump? Beginning to end, how can they destroy Donald Trump? And how can they destroy the political right? How can they obtain victory? How can they obtain power and then never give it up again? That was it. And they don't care what happened to the kids. I absolutely believe that to be the case. If I thought that the political left in the main believed about kids, they never would have been okay with excused or protected gender-affirming care. Never once, never ever, never once, never. So why would I believe that all of a sudden they care about children regarding the Epstein files? They don't. They care about, can we destroy Donald Trump? Can we get all the power and prevent the opposition, people who disagree with us, from ever having a say. This brings us to the story that was over there at ABC News. And it got tweeted out at the first. It was a very, very simple tweet. And it reads, a former police chief who investigated Jeffrey Epstein in the mid-2000s told the FBI he had received a call from Donald Trump at the time to say, thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this, according to an FBI account. That story then becomes your headline on ABC News. Ex-police chief says Trump told him, thank goodness you're stopping Epstein in the 2000s. The story continues. That, everybody knows that Trump threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. This because he was poaching employees from the spa. Maybe it was more than that. The police chief's name is Michael Reiter. And what he states is, as Reiter's detectives were investigating Epstein for allegedly recruiting girls as young as 14 to provide massages that turned sexual. There's never a moment where Epstein shouldn't have been charged, shouldn't be in jail, that Ghislaine Maxwell shouldn't be in jail. Never once. Everybody connected to this needs to go to jail. But according to Reiter's testimony in October of 2019, this is 2 months after Epstein's death. Donald Trump told Reiter that he threw Epstein out of his club. Trump called the Palm Beach Police Department to tell him, thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this. That's in the FBI report. Then there is the story of a call that came in July of 2006. Trump told him people in New York knew Epstein was disgusting. Trump said Maxwell was Epstein's operative, quote, she is evil and to focus on her, unquote. Trump told this cop Reiter that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present and Trump, quote, got the hell out of there, unquote. Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out that they were investigating Epstein. The left does not care what the truth is. They care that they can destroy the president. And when it's not Trump, it will be the next person, which is an extremely important thing to note. It is not, we want to argue that it's about Trump. It's because Trump is the president. If Trump wasn't the president, and if it was another Republican, it would be about that person. It wouldn't be the Epstein files. It would be something else. It is never ending and it is unyielding. This is the system and the methodology. Data point after data point after data point shows that Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, that Trump figured out what Jeffrey Epstein was all about, and Trump wanted nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. All three of those things. He knew him. They were at events together. They were probably at parties together. There's video of this. There's a photo of that. And when Trump learned what he was about, Trump walked. Trump said, get out. And the left can't handle that reality of that situation. The left is so desperate that Trump be guilty because he must be destroyed. But it isn't just Trump. It is whoever comes next. There is no honesty to take place. There is no engagement of a conversation to take place. It is only, how do you destroy the enemy? Those are the facts, and the left can scream and yell and chit-chat and talk on social media and cry and rent their clothes. Oh, screw off. We see you. Every data point goes in the other direction. Why don't you just say so? Why don't you just accept it? Why are you in such a cult that you can't accept that on this subject, you don't have it? You could talk about the economy. You could talk about foreign policy. You could talk about a host of things. You don't have it. All your name calling, all your screaming and yelling, Why can't you just accept the fact that on this you don't have it? You might have it on other things. Why can't it be about policy? You don't want it to be on policy. You can't have a policy conversation. You can only have a destroy conversation. That's all you can do. I favor the full release of the Epstein files, and the only things I wanted redacted were the names of victims, and there are people clearly in connection or in these files that did nothing wrong. I didn't want them to have to suffer for being listed in a report. I am there. I am as clear as day. You can go back to the very beginning of these conversations. And I'm the guy who said President Trump was wrong, and people yelled at me, screw them, they were wrong. I don't have to worry about it when people are wrong. You got to be honest. You got to be clear. You got to be able to stick to your guns and not sway. Why can't you just accept this? Why can't you just accept? You don't have it on this one. Why can't you do it? And the answer to why you can't do it, I'm so glad you asked, is that you don't want to. You have no interest in doing so. You don't have an interest in honesty. You don't have an interest in the truth. You don't have an interest in engagement in the discussion. You don't have it. I don't know if you're capable of it at this stage of the game. You are in the Borg mentality of one mind on all things. Destroy. Not engage, not discuss, not debate, destroy. I don't know of any other way to fight that except to never once back down to it. It's something that we learned from the early days of cancel culture. The people who gave into cancel culture only gave rise to more cancel culture. The people who said, why don't you go to hell? Oh, sure, the voices got loud for a while, and then they moved on to somebody else because they went for the easy target. Don't be the easy target. If President Trump has taught anything, whether you like him or not, is that you don't give in. They punch, you punch back 10 times harder. They bring the gun to the knife fight, you bring all the guns to the knife fight. You don't stop. You get totally relentless. You never once give in. And in Trump's case, you never once admit, nope. I'm perfect. You're the problem. I am in great shape and the peak of fitness mentally and physically, and you are a low-life fat bastard, you Olympic athlete. I mean, it is amazing stuff. It's incredible stuff. But he's shown it. What is interesting is that the left refuses to relent. He keeps pushing back, and they keep coming back because they believe that this is the tactic that will win. And so when Trump doesn't fall for it, they get more and more intense, which is why you see things get violent, why you see Antifa and other things happen. There are so many subjects to which there could be a debate about Trump and about policy and about personality that the left could win, and they choose not to. They don't want to win that way because they know they can't, because it involves too much discussion and it involves people maybe having a different opinion. And if there's one thing that progressivism shows is that there can be no difference of opinion. It must be the same thought everywhere at all times. The same thought, the same concept, constantly and consistently, without any deviation. The deviation is deadly to the Democrat. So they won't be changing. They won't be engaging differently. They will see more and more information that Trump figured out who this guy was and wanted no part of him. And they'll continue to scream pedophile, whatever idiocy they scream. Our job is to pay no attention, is to laugh in their face and to go win the midterms. because this nonsense can't be rewarded. ICE needs to continue to do their job. This economy needs 2 or 3 things to change, and there's some interesting data out today. And those midterms are indeed winnable. But if there's any place that we have to start, these people with their screaming and their yelling and their unwillingness to recognize what's clear to everybody, they need to be pushed back on. Liars, frauds, cultists, freaks, and to quote Governor Tim Walz, these leftists are just plain weird. They won't accept the truth. These people are weird. They cannot be allowed to win. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. So, not everyone is a Trump supporter, writes Wolfman. Not everyone is a Trump supporter that disagrees with the Democrat mass. Some of the people you say want you to do this, but we don't. I don't know what you're referring to. Want you to do what? So if you could just help me out with that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. Good to be with you. Good to be here. Lot to get to, and thanks to everybody who has subscribed on YouTube. Weird having a Twitter problem right now, because when we live stream, we push everywhere, and I'm, according to what I'm seeing, it's there, except I don't see it on X. So I don't know if X is having an issue or just not picking it up. I don't know. It happens sometimes. Meanwhile, the show does go on, and I'm here to tell you that the moment of even responding seems difficult when they go after Trump for the Epstein files. It just seems, why waste time with these people who clearly they're just saying something to say something. There's no basis behind it. There's no thought behind it. There's no mind behind it, which is, of course, part of their charm. And I only argue that the response has to be laughter. The response has to be a shaming, and then just dismiss them. They only should be really engaged in talking to themselves, not to us. They have nothing they can offer us. It's a level of unseriousness that's out of control. Let's get back to the radio show. I do want to get into this. There's a call for Roger Goodell to be fired because of the halftime show. Can we stop it already? The halftime show happened, and it was Bad Bunny, and it's over. And the NFL has spoken, and they don't care. They don't care. So stop. So you're screaming, you're yelling, you're never going to watch the NFL again. Okay, don't watch the NFL. I have made statements about Stephen Colbert. This show should be canceled already. And then I done with Colbert. It's gross that he's still on the air. It's gross that any sponsor would sponsor the program. It's gross. This fraud. But then I move on with my life. The NFL does not care whether the basic fan is happy or unhappy. They're doing what they're doing. They take a look at the ratings and say, good enough by us. We're reaching out to this larger international audience, and that's all they care about. So that's that. But if you're going to claim that it's the conservative position to go after Goodell and go after this, I don't think you're going to win. I think you're engaged in a losing battle. Now, if someone wants to discuss with me the idea of Puerto Rican independence, wait, do you mean statehood or do you mean independence? Because if you think that Puerto Rico is going to exist as its own country, well, best of luck with that. And if we want to discuss Puerto Rican statehood, are they going to keep getting a 5x return on the taxes that come in? And they still, as a nation, can't figure out how to get the power going? This is somehow my fault? Your power issues are not my fault. Your lack of governance is not my fault. What are we talking about here? Who does Bad Bunny even think he's lecturing to? And then there's this whole idea that, Tony, you don't understand. The Bad Bunny being the halftime show, it was about unity. Allow me to paraphrase, because I can't use the cursing on air, Jon Stewart. Who the blank thinks the halftime show is supposed to bring unity? What kind of nonsense is it? What kind of leftist nonsense is this? You would have to be Piers Morgan ridiculous to think that makes any sense. Entertain me. Dance for me. Well, I got to make it rain? Hold on a second. I got cash. What do I got to use? We doing ones here, 20s here? How do we make it rain? That's all you got to do. Entertain me. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. I'll take a lecture some other time. The NFL's like, okay. We want a lecture. We want to do this. We think it's good for our international numbers. And that's the game, guys. The NFL will not stop, and Roger Goodell's not going anywhere. This is Tony Katz today. I was going to make it rain, and I'm like, well, what dollar bill would make sense? Like, if I have some ones, and I do ones, people be like, oh, he's so cheap. If I do hundreds, he'd be like, oh, he's bragging. I was like, you know what? There's no winning this one. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Greg, thanks for being a new subscriber, man. I greatly appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being part of the show. It's pretty fantastic. Welcome, 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 and welcome. Oh, I should do it with $2 bills? Just throwing Jeffersons like it's my job? You know what? I'm going to start using that line. I'm going to make it rain Jeffersons up in here. Oh, that's really good. That's really good. I'm going to do that. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Oh, that is funny. Yeah, I do not know, Producer Landon, what's going on with the Twitter live stream. Don't have an answer there. Yeah, it could have just fouled up. I don't know if the Facebook ones are going as well. Let me see. I guess these things happen from time to time. Nope, Facebook's working great. Facebook is working a fantastic right there. So that's that. So it goes. What do you guys got for me? Let me know your thoughts. I'm happy to answer any questions. We have the White House press briefing that is coming today. So I will share that with you. Interesting. Interessante. So we've got that at 1:00. House of Representatives in session. You had Republicans and Democrats holding their news conferences. Nothing from there. Of course, I've got Eric Swalwell being the largest chump that ever lived. I will get to that as well. What else is going on? You guys tell me. You're where all the action is. Here's another victory. I forgot about this victory from Trump. Maybe I'll do that now. I will. Oh, because we've got the. You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that now. And what was the other one? Okay, hold on. I'm just writing myself some notes, guys. And then I've got the bipartisan housing bill, which I will get to as well. Perfection. Absolute perfection. Sorry, see, I shouldn't do two things at once, but yet I did two things at once. Perfection. So yeah, as for was Bad Bunny cursing in Spanish, I don't know. I've seen a couple different transcripts. I'm not 100% sure. So we'll get to the radio show. We'll come back to that in a moment. We've got the White House briefing coming up soon, so I'll bring you three more things right now. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Three more things that should be discussed and made into mainstream stories that are not right now mainstream stories. And we will start with Eric Swalwell being Eric Swalwell.
Supposed to protect, or will you side with the killers bringing terror to our streets? Mr. Lyons, will you resign from ICE?
No, sir, I won't.
Why not?
Because, sir, that child that you're showing right there, the men and women of ICE took care of him when his father abandoned him and ran from law enforcement.
Time has expired.
You never should have gone into
Gentlemen's time
custody.
Oh, yes. He never should have gone into custody. Eric Swalwell, the congressman from California running for governor, always upset when the illegal immigrant is put in cuffs, has to deal with the consequences of his law breaking. But there he is talking to the head of ICE and talking about, you used a 5-year-old child as bait. That story has already been debunked. The guy ran and left and abandoned his kid. You think the ICE director should resign for that? I don't think that guy is a good parent. He abandoned his child. Might as well have left the kid in a hot car. What's the difference? The kid going to survive without the parent? You abandon the child. Nobody's there to take care of the kid. That kid dies. That's what this guy did. And that's who Eric Swalwell, is defending. They can't be normal for 5 minutes. They can't do it. They don't want to do it. They refuse to do it. So that's one of the stories that should be making the headlines. Then there is, as Bill Malugin over there at Fox News reports, San Francisco-based Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals issued an order siding with the Department of Homeland Security on termination of temporary protected status for migrants from Nicaragua, Honduras, and Nepal. The Ninth Circuit writing, the government is likely to prevail in its argument that the Secretary's decision, meaning Secretary Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, that the Secretary's decision-making process in terminating TPS for Honduras, Nicaragua, and Nepal was not arbitrary and capricious. Specifically, the government can likely show that the administrative record adequately supports the Secretary's actions, that the TPS statute does not require the Secretary to consider intervening country conditions arising after the events that led to the initial designation, and that the Secretary's decision not to consider intervening conditions does not amount to an unexplained change in policy. The Democrats have a theory that once something is established, it must always be that way. Their idea is that because at one moment temporary protected status was given, that it must always be given and no question can come as to whether or not the conditions from which that TPS, the temporary protected status, was granted, have those conditions changed. How dare you even think of questioning whether or not the conditions changed? How dare you open your eyes and look? That's their argument. That is their argument. How dare you open your eyes and look? I think you should always open your eyes and look. You should always be one asking the question. Anybody who's been in business for more than 5 minutes understands that one of the key things to running your business is a defining and redefining of the business. I years ago, in my days in restaurants, somebody that my father knew was sitting at the table with us and explaining this, that in business, you're always defining and redefining your business. My original thought on that was that you're defining the actual business itself. Is this the business you're in, or is that the business you're in? I think that as I've gotten older, maybe wiser, I don't know, it has been about you're constantly going over it. What is it that you're looking at? What is it that you're actually trying to get accomplished here? How is the best way to get this accomplished? You're looking, you're seeing, you're checking. You might say, hey, this cost me more, but I believe I create a value over here with customer retention. Hey, I can maybe make an opportunity here. Maybe I can create a growth factor over here. You're looking at the things that say, how do I build upon this? How do I make it leaner, smarter, better, more interesting, more profitable, all sorts of things. The guy from the Savannah Bananas, Jesse Cole, is that his name? Yeah. He makes the argument that there are a series of potential profit centers that he has no interest in. He offers up his games with the Savannah Bananas and what they've created via their YouTube channel, that's gratis. And if he were to ever sell the Savannah Bananas, they would immediately start charging for those games. And he thinks that takes away from the entire point, the thing that makes them special. They don't charge for this and they don't charge for that. And they cover this for employees and they cover that. And they don't want to take away from that. They think that's the magic. He's not running his business wrong. He's running it exactly the way he should. He is defining and redefining what it is that's important to him. Something that the left will never understand about the capitalist. They think it's about the money. It's never just about the money. actually arguably not even about the money. It is about the freedom to create as one wants to create to the moment of their happiness. They all seem to avoid. I don't even know if Milton Friedman ever discussed the idea of to the moment of their happiness. To me, that is the fundamental. That is the quintessential nature of capitalism. I get to choose, and I get to choose when I'm done. I can choose to build this business any which way I choose. I have talked about the fact that when my father passed in 2024, I took over the business, merchant services, credit card processing, not the issuing of credit cards. That's the issuing side, the acquiring side. You're a business, you want to accept credit cards. I help out with that in more and more kind of niche and unique situations. Happy to help, happy to be of service. And I have spoken with people who are like, Tony, we could do this with the business. We could do that. You can grow it this way. You can build it that way. And I have said very clearly, no, thanks. It's not how I'm running this thing. I am not looking to build this to be a massive enterprise and take away from this. I will build it as a what I would describe as a lifestyle business. And it'll build slower. And I'll take care of people I know, like, and trust. And it'll be solid. Who knows? 5 years from now, maybe I'll make the switch. But I will run it as I see fit. That's the joy and the glory of capitalism. Fantastic. Now, I bring all of this up as I was discussing temporary protected status. It was an interesting little segue there. Only a fool doesn't go back to something and say, okay, let's take another look at this. Does this still make sense? And temporary protected status, in my view, was always about creating a jobs program. We'll bring these people in, we'll absolutely violate the spirit of immigration laws, and we'll create cheap workforces for companies and corporations and plant workers, plant owners, etc. When I went to Springfield, Ohio, to take a look at what was happening with, they're eating the dogs and eating the cats. True, it wasn't I didn't spend 100 days there. We talked to people. We looked at things. We talked to people on the street. We talked to people in restaurants. They told us a whole bunch of things that Donald Trump was wrong about, things that were an issue, like the lack of driver's licenses and how rents have gone sky high. But so many people defending the Haitian migrants said that the people who work in the factories, the factory owners, love these people because they work so hard. And the answer was I want to say rote, but there's a better word for it. I think the kids would say performative. It was such a practiced response and exactly the same response from different people that I'm like, that does not make any sense. That's not what's happening here. We're supportive of this because they're working in the factories. So wait, this is a jobs program. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look at some of those videos, we discussed it. I didn't know we were right. It's just this is how it came across. And it turns out we were right. TPS has been utilized in this way as a jobs program. And so being able to pull this temporary protected status is incredibly important because it shows that just because something was doesn't mean that it has to be. We can be, wait for it, unburdened by what has been. Thank you, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, everybody. Seriously, Producer Landon, nothing? Nothing for Kamala Harris? No, he's not going to applaud. No, it's too late now. We know how you feel. We know that when Kamala Harris was talking about sexist bigots, she meant Producer Landon. Some things remain. That's the Constitution. Seeing if a policy still has value. By the way, amendments to be able to say maybe this thing doesn't have value. We're going to add the 18th Amendment and say no one can drink, and then we're going to add the 21st Amendment because that 18th Amendment sucked. Only Democrats don't think we should go back and look at things. Now, I did have 3 more things, but I'm going to have to hold off on one of those stories because it's absolutely horrifying. And I'll bring it to you next. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Right. And from what I hear, that Kid Rock song did very well on iTunes, at least for a day. And the problem is, though, people were writing, music industry is shook. Go look today. Is it still the top song? Then it would be interesting. Grab a look at that, producer Landon, talking about whether or not the Turning Point USA show was any good. And the point is, I don't even think any of that even matters, right? It's like people saying, what was the Bad Bunny show any good? What does that matter? People didn't like it. People liked it. It's not going to change anything for anyone. So the Kid Rock remake of Cody Johnson is still number 1. Bad Bunny is number 2. This is all on iTunes, what I would call iTunes. The original song by Cody Johnson is number 3, and Bad Bunny is number 4. Okay. America has spoken. And where is my new single? Oh, what's the name of my new single? You have to only get that through a decoder ring that you can get by drinking your Ovaltine. That's right. It's a Christmas Story reference. Okay. Then there's this. All right. Coming back, and then we've got the White House briefing. Whole bunch of stuff. You tell me when we're coming back there, producer Landon. Very, very good. Yeah, Ovaltine, it was a Christmas Story reference. Come on, Beth. Work with me. There is a story circulating by Brandy Cruz. I don't know Brandy Cruz. I know that she's on the Twitter X. She does a show called Undivided. And the story goes as follows: that there is a wrestler, teen athlete, and this wrestler, this girl's wrestling. She is wrestling, and her opponent is trying to get position. And in trying to get position, the opponent has basically inserted into this female wrestler. I don't know how else to say it. The opponent's arm is between this female wrestler's legs, and the next thing you know, the wrestler on top has utilized their fingers. I think I've explained it, right? And this female wrestler looks directly at her mother with a face of like, what in the world is happening? And there's actual video of this. She looks horrified. The mother doesn't understand. The mother's just cheering out like, hey, do this, do that. And actually says, I don't know why she's looking like that. This 16-year-old sophomore, who has been very clear that she has never felt or experienced anything like that, did not realize that she was actually wrestling a boy who claimed to be a girl, and is now saying that she was assaulted by this trans wrestler. What is one supposed to do about this? This female wrestler allowed herself to be pinned to make it stop, to make the entire match stop, and then had to go find her coach. She didn't know at first she was wrestling a boy. All she said was, "You will not believe what happened to me." She was going to tell her coach, this is what the opponent did, even before knowing that it was a boy wrestling her. It's an absolutely horrifying story. Horrifying story. Now, one could assume, as would happen in wrestling, and certainly happens in men's wrestling, things get hit and jostled. Wrestling's a rough sport. Those guys are a different breed. This is a different story. And anyone who's like, well, that's just the sport. Nah. And we're not done yet with this protecting girls in sports. We're not done. I would love for us to be able to move on to other subjects, but no. The left still thinks they can get away with this stuff, and the left has to lose. It's an incredible story, as reported. I'm Tony Katz. I will have more on this, for sure. So what we have coming up is the White House briefing. It is supposed to start 1 o'clock? No. No one knows. So here's the story, and we're going to stick with it. We are in a commercial break for the radio show, so we'll be in commercial break right here. Smoke them if you got them. Hang loose. We'll come back. We'll cover the briefing. I got a ton of stories to get to, including this bipartisan housing bill, 390 yay votes with this House of Representatives. How that's even possible, I do not know. Absolutely no clue. But I look forward to bringing it to you. So hang loose, kick back, relax, smoke them if you got them. We'll be right back.
what they say.
Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. So they are gearing up for the White House briefing. It has not yet started. We will bring it to you in full. And then Kash Patel with the statement, images? New images in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Oh, now they've got somebody who might be a suspect in a ski mask. It's getting weirder by the second. I'm sorry. I want this woman found. I want her alive and safe. This whole story is weird as can be. White House press briefing scheduled to start at any moment, and a statement from Kash Patel. This, of course, is the FBI director, who has put out a statement on Twitter X, new images in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The story is out of control. It's weirder and weirder by the second. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. And this is what is put out by Kash Patel, the FBI director. Over the last 8 days, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department have been working closely with our private sector partners to continue to recover any images or video footage from Nancy Guthrie's home that may have been lost, corrupted, or inaccessible due to a variety of factors, including the removal of recording devices. The video was recovered from residual data located in back-end systems. Nancy Guthrie is the mother of Savannah Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie is the host of the Today Show. And Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, living in Arizona, went missing. And there is a belief that she was taken, kidnapped, that there is a hostage situation, that there is a ransom. And there have been a series of deadlines that have been set and have passed. And according to the reporting, was it no notification from or no connection to the alleged kidnappers, no response from them. It's all very odd. And I will say to you that this situation is very odd. And I am one of the people who is asking, is this just incompetence that we're seeing in the investigation? Is some of it purposeful? Now, that's the part that I think that throws people. That very often in these situations, what looks disjointed and what looks confusing is purposeful, because the objective is to engage here while you're searching there to find a mistake or to engage someone so you can actually get to a level of rescue, right? It doesn't play as I guess we would describe it as linear. And not being any expert on hostage negotiations or tactics at all, I don't have anything else I can offer here. What I've said from the beginning is this is a very ugly situation, because if this can now be a thing, you didn't go after Savannah Guthrie, you went after mom to get to Savannah Guthrie so you can get her money, so you can get NBC's money. What was the thing happening here? And then you've got 100 other things that you can ask, like, this is so weird, I wonder if this is even legit. Which is a legitimate thing to say. I don't know yet. I have no clue as to what we're looking at here. Kash Patel continues. And part of this was because it was known that the Ring camera system that mom had, Nancy Guthrie had, was kind of ripped off the wall, was missing. Someone took the camera. But of course, there's footage that already exists on the camera. Working with our partners, writes Kash Patel, FBI director, As of this morning, law enforcement has uncovered these previously inaccessible new images showing an armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door during the morning of the disappearance. And anyone with information, tips.fbi.gov or 1-800-CALL-FBI. So now, this is the imagery. There is a guy. Is that a gun in his left hand? So he's pants, sneakers, a zip-up sweater, I guess we'll call it. It's not a jacket. It looks more like it would be fleece-like. A ski mask. You could see the eyes. I'm assuming the dude is white based on the eyes. Black gloves, a backpack. And I guess in the left hand, that's a firearm. But it's not like they're holding the gun. It's like they're holding a holster and the gun is in the holster. It's kind of pointed down. That's the way it looks to me. So that's one of the photos. Which brings us to a shot of, I'm sorry, is that a man or a woman? Now I'm saying it's a shot directly, almost like head on. And I can't 100% tell if that's a man or that's a woman. And are those flowers in the left hand right in front of the camera? Weird. Then there is another shot where the gun is still kind of, it's on the person, like directly in front, like belt line. And then, yeah, right? And then being held on with the left hand. And then the right hand is kind of in front of the camera. And by the way, we're live streaming. And the chat room's like, it does look like a woman. Right, the eyes and the lashes, didn't it? I wasn't making that up. Like, it does. Because the first image, like, it looks like a guy. Then that second image, you're like, wait a second. The third image, the same thing. Looks like a woman. Then you get to the fourth image, which has more of a close-up of the face. And this is a knit ski mask. Now, I think you could see a little bit of the hole of the mouth there. And that looks like that could be a mustache. So I could be, you can't tell. I'm just telling you that it looked a little bit odd. So these are the images that are now out. And people are going to examine these things every which way but loose. And by the way, it wasn't a Ring camera. It seems to be a Nest camera because it says Nest on the imagery. NEST, right? That company. I don't know. I don't know what to say here. Whole thing is just so peculiar. But there is no part of this with family being targeted. This is concerning. So it's true, we wouldn't be paying as much attention to the story if it wasn't somebody who was on national television daily. I think part of the reason we're paying attention to it is that that's who it happened to. And it does make it even more of a story because was that part of the targeting? There's a concern there. A legitimate concern. So that's the latest on Nancy Guthrie, whom I hope they find safe and healthy. We've got a briefing coming up. I will bring it to you when it begins. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Keep looking at those photos. It's all just so very, very weird. The whole story. Nuts. Let me help someone out here. Kurt, first of all, I appreciate you watching the show. If Clinton is in the Epstein files, Kurt's right, he should go to jail. Now, Tony, you say if Trump is in the Epstein files, he should go to jail. No, it's not how it works. You don't tell me what to say. I have stated very clearly that because someone is in the files doesn't mean they've engaged in any wrongdoing. Epstein had a tremendous number of connections in a tremendous amount of places. The question is, who was involved in sexually abusing young women, children? Who was involved in trafficking children, sex trafficking children? I want them in jail. Bill Clinton being mentioned in the Epstein files is not an indication that he did something wrong. Why would anybody say that? It's delusional. It's dangerous. It's silly. It's to not even have any bit of curiosity. I don't work in blanket statements. I work in data. Epstein was everywhere funding so many things and connected to tons of people. Doesn't mean those people did anything wrong. Let's not go after people who didn't do anything wrong. Bill Clinton got called to testify, subpoenaed to testify. So he testifies. I don't care if it's in public. I'm fine with that. So I appreciate the comment, but I just want to make sure we're all clear. We're either going to be honest about these things or not. Not me. I'm only honest about these things. White House briefing set to begin any moment. And one of the stories should be about this housing legislation. I know that it's going to be about Department of Homeland Security and funding. And the Democrats, they have sent a 10-point plan, or the 10 points. You have to meet these 10 points or we will not fund Department of Homeland Security. It's cute that they think they're in charge. It's adorable. John Thune wants to say, well, we can't really you dismantle the filibuster in time for some of these votes. Well, what can you do? What can you do, John Thune? You could at the very least state very clearly that if there is a shutdown, Chuck Schumer is ensuring that whole groups of people aren't paid, even though you already have funding that's taking place through the one big beautiful bill. Schumer doesn't give a damn about the law. He only cares about power. You know, he's a disgusting guy. And then John Thune should, in public view, walk up to Schumer anywhere he is and excoriate him and engage the full-on verbal fight right there until Schumer quite literally walks away with whatever he has tucked between his legs. Stop being abused by these people, these radicals who support the paid, funded militias against immigrations and customs enforcement, against law enforcement, and against the American people. Dear Lord, take these Democrats to task. Nose to nose. Don't you shy away from these chumps. Not for a second. But that's going to be a huge part of this. But you know, there was agreement on a housing bill. The House passed this bipartisan housing bill by a vote of 390 to 9. 390 members of Congress. That is insane to believe. In this Congress, they got together to agree with this because they're focused on what? Housing affordability. Oh, do I not like the term housing affordability? First, I don't know if I'm cool with everybody jumping on and agreeing that affordability is now what we refer to everything as. But when we take a look at as described, you take a look at President Trump last month, executive orders to make it harder for large investment firms to buy single-family homes. And we had a disagreement about this. I accept that if we have these companies buying homes everywhere, then it makes home ownership tougher, and that is an issue. I hear you. And I do question, what is the plan? How do you prevent this from happening? And I haven't come to a conclusion yet, because if somebody is making me an offer on my home, if someone is making me an offer, why aren't I, as the owner of that property, of that asset, why aren't I allowed to sell it? Now, I can counter my own argument. Tony, what if the person trying to buy it was the member of the Communist Chinese Party? Well, then I would argue for national security reasons, you can't sell it to them. I absolutely would argue that 10,000%. Is it the same when you sell your home to BlackRock? I'm using my argument, and now I'm fighting my own argument. So please, I understand that I hear you. I am asking, I start with this basic question. It's like when these areas that want to say that you can't rent your house. We only allow in our city, in our town, 10% of homes to be rented. It's my house. Why can't I rent it? It's my home. Why can't I Airbnb it? Which brings out a conversation about HOAs, homeowners associations. But if you buy in an HOA with HOA rules, you already know what you're buying in. You don't have to buy there. Now, one could argue that HOAs are still criminally insane. In many cases, a lot of these HOA people are total freaks. I'll agree with you. But still, you can say that you bought in the HOA and you knew what was happening. It's different than any level of federal legislation that may come down the line. So what is it that we're seeing here? Are we seeing the federal government try and dictate what can be sold, to whom it can be sold, and when? Or, as is described, they're trying to incentivize construction of multifamily homes, therefore maybe less expensive homes, taller buildings on smaller lots so you can add more homes, less restrictive permitting process in state and local jurisdictions. Oh, well, if we're going to talk about getting rid of regulations, I'm all in. I'm absolutely all in. And someone had asked me about this on my morning show. I'm not saying you're going to get rid of building codes. One could argue that what building codes do is ensure that the house doesn't fall down and therefore lead to more danger and more cost for the municipality in question. Right? We're not better off if you're not using nails. You decided you were just going to use some spit and chewing gum and put it together. It's like when Boeing builds a plane and they use dish soap instead of the proper lubrication to put in a door. Yeah, we don't want that. We can accept that there can be certain levels of rules and regulations. But when you tell me that you're going to incentivize the construction of multifamily homes, that you would have pattern books of pre-approved housing designs compliant with local building codes. So now we're going to claim that we're helping to get more houses built by creating regulation that says you can build this house if you build exactly this. And so now all of a sudden, it's little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. We saw what regulation did via CAFE standards with vehicles, with cars, right? Oh, it's got to have this many miles per gallon. It's got to have this safety feature. It's got to have this stupid thing that reminds you about your kids in the back seat. You remind yourself of the kid in the back seat. I don't need the freaking message, thank you. And what happened? All those midsize SUVs look exactly the same. So boring. All of them wholly and totally predictable. They all look the same. And for the record, like crap, because they have no soul. They have no uniqueness. And dear Lord, can we stop being such a monochromatic society? Can we have some cars that have a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor, a little bit of zing, a little bit of something, a little ha-cha-cha? Build cars for the individual. Build cool crap. Stop building the same nonsense. But that's the problem. We're from the government. We're here to help. Oh, good Lord. Right? That's what Reagan said with the 9 most dangerous words. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Is that 9? Let's just call it 9. Or is it 11? I don't know. Count the words and then tell me. This is where I have an issue. If you tell me you want to build more multifamily homes, I think we have a massive problem with apartments in many cities across the country. And I'm not discussing a New York or a metropolis like that. I'm talking about smaller cities. Apartments are not the way to grow. And you also have to accept the fact, and I'm a believer in growth, that maybe there's a moment of, okay, this part of our growth is done. Now we have to get into a management conversation. How do we manage the homes that we have and the condos that we have and the apartments we have so we can get people still coming in at a viable price to be able to see growth in other places in our city? And when the houses aren't viable, you go to another city because the housing is less expensive. Do you remember this argument that was made? I think it was Shapiro. I think it was Ben, who said that, people can move somewhere else if New York is too expensive. And there were people on the right who got angry. And they were like, how dare you? What do you mean, how dare you? How the hell do you think migration works? It was too costly here, so we live over there. It was too costly in California, so I moved to Arizona. It was too costly in New York, so I moved to New Jersey. It was too costly in Chicago, so I moved to Indianapolis. It was too costly here, so I went over there. That is standard. It was too cold here, so I moved down there. It was too dry here, so I moved over there. It was too humid over here, so I went over that place. This is normal stuff. Normal stuff that normal people do. So I look at this legislation and I take a look at the government helping and I say, I don't. That's basically it. And then I get gas. It becomes a whole thing. A serious gastrointestinal issue. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because my immediate reaction is, good Lord, I do not want government involved in this. Now, it is true that people do not build homes for that first-time home buyer anymore because there's more money to be made by building the larger home. And that is a problem. And it's also true that if you remove regulation, you could create more opportunities to build those starter homes. But it should not be regulation where the government says, here, you can build this and it's fine. That is every town looking like Leavitt town? Nah, I am not interested. So those are my concerns. But 390 votes to 9 votes? Something tells me that's going to end up on the president's desk. Keep it here. It's Tony Katz Today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. So if that's not what's happening, what is happening? If this is the subject we're talking about. And then average price of a new home is $400,000 at this moment. There are subdivisions filled with empty homes that people are refusing to buy. All right. Seriously, show me where. Because that would signal to me that the development company has decided that the buyer is there, it'll just take more time, and they do not want to give away the asset. Right? Isn't that a decision that the home builder would make? Our house is worth this, and we're not going to sell it for $300. We're only going to sell for $400. So that is my response there, and I would love to see, because it would be helpful. It would be helpful to understand if that's the case. There are developments where they've got 2 homes or 20 homes or 200 homes, that aren't selling because the price is too high. You would think that the home builder would lower the price. I mean, that is the answer, isn't it? I'm not going to force them to sell it. Not at all. Hold on a second. Tony's going to West Virginia, and then Chris goes in here with a nonsense West Virginia restaurants suck. All of them? That is no way to treat them. They're mountaineers there. Isn't that right, producer Landon? That's the mountaineers? Yeah. Have you ever driven through West Virginia? It's beautiful. It's very, very pretty. I've enjoyed those drives. From Indy to DC, I made that drive before. And you drive through Ohio, then West Virginia, get into Maryland, and you drive the length of Maryland. And some of those back roads, I do love back roads. So awesome. And every now and then I'll be driving, and you'll pass a place that says it does ribs. And I say to myself, I know I should stop, and I know I should eat the ribs. But this will be the moment where I realize there's not a bathroom for another 200 miles. Oh yeah. That is hashtag real talk. And that's my concern. And I know I'm missing out on opportunities and stories. I know it. I absolutely know it. But I still like just a full-on back road eating tour like that. You want to talk about the show I should do? Just like take a respite from radio and just do that. Backroad eating tour. Backroad eats. Why am I telling you this? Just so Guy Fieri can have another show tomorrow? No. Guy Fieri's Super Bowl commercial was not bad, man. Just a regular guy. So. All right. So they've put on the cameras, or they put on the monitors for Karoline Leavitt, but she is not. I got to assume she's taking the podium right now. Come on, Karoline. Let's get to the show. Waiting on Karoline Leavitt in the White House press briefing. I will bring it to you, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. We did not. Well, you know, I'm done with the Bad Bunny nonsense. But one of the things we did not discuss was the commercials, which were not great. There was a story I had on the show sheet about whether or not the commercials this year were really focused on Gen Z and women. And like, I don't know if I found that. But we were going through the commercials, and producer Landon and I were talking about the Guy Fieri commercial, which I forget was for Bosch, right? Yeah, the brand Bosch. I thought that was pretty good because it was Guy Fieri looking like a normal person. I thought the Dunkin' commercial was ridiculous with Jason Alexander and Ted Danson and Tom Brady and how they did that. Was it AI? What did they do? And Ben Affleck. I thought that was a fun commercial. The commercial starring former coach Bruce Arians and Ron Gronkowski and Anthony Gonzalez, Tony Gonzalez, the tight ends, and I think it was about getting your prostate checked or something like that. I thought that was a very good commercial. I thought Lay's potato chips did an excellent job going the GM Chevy tug at your heartstrings angle about the farm going from the father to the daughter. I thought that was a good commercial, but nothing that knocked me out. Nothing that was like, that was mind blowing. It seemed to me that the vast majority of commercials were very tepid. They weren't trying to do too much. Yes, Landon. The Eagle and Budweiser commercial was great. That was classic Americana Budweiser for a company that is now owned by InBev out of I think it's Belgium. That was a good commercial. But it's not like, do you remember the Dodge Challenger commercial with George Washington? This is going on 15 years ago. And the British are advancing, and it's set in the colonial times, and the American troops are trying to figure out what's happening. All of a sudden, there's a scout that's running through the woods to give the British position, and all of a sudden comes this Dodge Challenger screaming, driving directly at the British, the American flag in the stuck to the back, and the British are falling all over themselves. And inside the car, it's George Washington driving, and the tagline is, "America got a few things right: cars and freedom." Oh, that ad still. I have given whole speeches before based on that ad. Whole talks. I love that commercial. It's so good. But no, there weren't. There's nothing memorable. So I'm going over it, and there's nothing memorable. And so I go back to the story, like the ads are focused on women and Gen Z. I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I didn't get that. I didn't get that they were focused on anything other than saying, let's not anger many people. Let's just spend our money and hope that we get some clicks. The Mr. Beast commercial was more interesting than most of the commercials. That was the take. Really not much to take from these ads. Now, for a 1 o'clock press conference, man, have they screwed up timing fierce. 40 minutes past the hour. But they're going to get started, and I want to carry as much of it as possible. I have got a conversation, going to talk to Congresswoman Erin Houchin, and then Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis, as well. What do we know about these retail sales numbers from the month of December? And speak to Representative Houchin about whether or not we're going to see the SAVE Act passed and whether or not we can have voter ID in America. I will come back with the White House briefing. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Yeah, I never break this early. Ever. Maybe the Guthrie stuff is causing this to be a bit delayed. It's very possible. I don't know for sure. Do not know for sure. But they've already sat the person, I don't know who's going to be in the new media seat. No, I have not applied for that yet. I will. I absolutely positively will. Sorry. This is Corinne Jean-Pierre levels of late. Okay, it's kind of funny. That is kind of funny right there. I'll take it. This is odd. Admittedly. And so I wonder, Producer Landon, maybe you're onto something. Maybe that announcement from the FBI director, Kash Patel, has changed some of the focus. They needed to get her some briefing notes to be able to share with the press. Maybe Kash Patel is going to be there. So that's We'll see. Meanwhile, it's the here. Let me show you this. Let me show you what I'm looking at right here. So here's the briefing right over there on the right where it says live the White House, and that was Washington Journal, which was earlier in the day from C-SPAN, right? So that's what I'm staring at. I'm just waiting for Karoline Leavitt to get out there. And I do not know what's taking her so long. If I don't get to her, I don't get to her. I've got these interviews. That's my third hour. And then, of course, there are hearings going on, and the left is just a series of mental patients screaming at the ICE director, "You have so much blood on your hands. Do you think you're going to hell?" That was an actual question asked by LaMonica McIver. Democrat from New Jersey. Crazy. Absolute crazy. Come on, Karoline Leavitt. You can do it. Be a success. Today's your day. I do have one more very funny Bad Bunny story. It's so great. All right, I'll share it. I'll share the one more Bad Bunny story. It's so terrific. So absolutely terrific. All right, let's see. We'll see. I hope I can share it. Producer Landon, is that what happened? You lost internet? Producer Landon? I can hear you now. I can. What's up? You want me to reconnect? Do you want me to reconnect? Yep. There's nothing like the station going down. Oh, that's fantastic. Let's see what happens. Talk to me. I can. I hear you. Oh, good Lord. They just, yeah, I can hear you, Producer Landon.
I was once again with the president. He and I were both reviewing the newly released surveillance footage from FBI in the Savannah Guthrie case on just this heartbreaking situation with respect to her mother. The president encourages any American across the country with any knowledge of the suspect to please call the FBI, who continue to assist state and local authorities who are leading this investigation on the ground. And once again, I will reiterate that the prayers of this entire White House are with Savannah and her family at this time. And we hope this person is found soon and that her mother is brought home safely. President Trump has a very busy week ahead, so I will begin with some scheduling announcements today. Tomorrow here at the White House, the president will host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for a bilateral meeting. The remainder
So here's what's going on.
will be focused on energy and deregulation. Tomorrow afternoon, the president will hold an event in the East Room.
Station
to
is
tout
having a
clean,
problem. I'm
beautiful
going to
coal
continue. I'm
as
going to try
America's
and
most
let them fix
reliable
what's
and
happening. Tony
affordable
Katz,
energy
Tony
source,
Katz today.
especially during
We've got the White
periods
House
of
briefing
peak
going
demand,
on,
just as we saw
and
during
I'm
this
going
most
to
recent
send it over
winter
to Karoline
storm,
Leavitt.
which impacted hundreds of millions of Americans. The president will discuss how clean, beautiful coal is not only keeping the lights on in our country, but also driving down the cost of electricity across the country as well. Additionally, on Thursday, President Trump will be joined by Administrator Lee Zeldin to formalize the rescission of the 2009 Obama-era endangerment finding. This will be the largest deregulatory action in American history, and it will save the American people $1.3 trillion in crushing regulations. The bulk of the savings will stem from reduced costs for new vehicles, with the EPA projecting average per vehicle savings of more than $2,400 for popular light-duty cars, SUVs, and trucks.
Excellent.
This is just one more way this administration is working to make life more affordable for everyday Americans. Overall, these groundbreaking actions from President Trump will drive larger economic growth, create thousands of good-paying jobs, expand manufacturing, increase consumer choice, and improve affordability for millions of families and businesses. Finally, on Friday, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will travel to Fort Bragg in the great state of North Carolina to meet with military families and the heroic members of our special forces who carried out the successful Operation Absolute Resolve in Venezuela and helped bring narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro to justice.
Now, I'm not saying that isn't important, but this move from the EPA, these moves to reduce costs, this is the kind of stuff that people should cheer. You know, I was talking earlier about the madness of these warnings that they have in the car. Hey, don't forget to check the back seat to see if the kids are there. I don't want that in my car. I don't want anything like that in my vehicle at all. Thank you. I don't want the stupid thing that you have to press so the car doesn't stop when you're at a red light. Well, it's saving gas. Leave me alone. I don't want any of that nonsense. And I want those things gone and out of the car. These things are supposed to help us, make our lives better. Safety. No, it's just increased costs and increased nonsense. And we did certainly the same thing with EPA regulations. So rational rollbacks, I am all in favor of.
Which every single Democrat in Congress voted against. AMAC, which represents millions of Americans, has heard directly from more than their 1,000 members already about how the Trump tax cuts are easing cost of living concerns. I wanted to share a few of those powerful responses with you today. This one comes from Dean and Wendy in Wisconsin, who said, quote, instead of paying out $3,700 last year, we got back $2,500 in refunds this year. This is huge for our family. Steve from California said, quote, the new senior citizen deduction is a tremendous relief and has given us peace of mind and the freedom to truly enjoy the retirement years we worked so hard for.
So this is all part of something that we discussed. You can't say that the one big beautiful bill, it solves everything. What you must do is show how it is helping, the specifics of how it is helping. That's what is key. You have to be able to say, we passed this and here's where you'll see it. We passed this and here's how you're seeing it. We made this move and here is the result. You got to show them. That is what has to take place. That's the story. It's incredibly important that they do this, and they've gotten much better at it. And I want to be as clear as day. This screaming that the right can't win the midterms. It's all lost. They're going not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. That is as wrong can be. Difficult, I agree. Lost. Get bent. There is so much time. What they want to do is set narrative now. I don't know about you, but I'm not about to let them do that. I would never dream of letting them do that. And then there's the conversation, as Karoline Leavitt's having it right now, the White House press secretary, about Trump accounts.
Per year per employee. President Trump believes there is no better investment than investing in our nation's children. If you are a parent who maximizes contributions to your child's Trump account, its projected value could reach nearly $1.1 million by the time your child turns 28 years old, based on average historical stock market returns. Safe to say the Trump accounts will give a substantial head start to position the next generation for a brighter future. And with the stock market exploding under President Trump's pro-growth policies, there has never been a better time to sign up for an investment account like this. The Dow Jones just shattered 50,000 for the first time ever on Friday, and the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ continue smashing record after record. So with President Trump in charge, Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming once again, and these new Trump accounts for America's kids will boom too. So with that, once again, every parent should go to trumpaccounts.gov today, and I'm going to put it on my own personal to-do list to sign up for one as well. With that, I will take your questions. Karoline
Right to it.
from the National Review is here. Thank you for being here, and why don't you kick us off?
Thank you for having me. On the criticism that immigration enforcement has become arbitrary or not particularly prioritizing, Democrats have been circulating this statistic that only 14% of illegal aliens arrested under this administration are violent criminals, but we know that in deep blue cities with progressive district attorneys, it's common to plead down serious violent crimes into less serious offenses, which could be distorting those numbers. So given that backdrop, does the administration still stand by the messaging that you're targeting the worst of the worst? And does this prevailing narrative tell the whole story?
Well, thank you for bringing this up, Karoline. I've seen this CBS report floating around. There's a lot of liberal talking heads and pundits and Democrat elected politicians who think that this single story and these statistics and the way they are painted is somehow a shot at this administration. It is not. And let me correct the record. Number one, the Trump administration has been clear from day one that any illegal alien present in this country is subject to deportation. However, the priority, of course, is going after the convicted criminals, the worst of the worst, the murderers, the pedophiles, the rapists in this country. Interestingly, in the CBS story, what the Democrat talking heads on television are not saying is this line. Nearly 60% of ICE arrestees over the past year had criminal charges or convictions. And among that population, the majority of the criminal charges or convictions are for nonviolent crimes. Oh, well, what are nonviolent crimes, you ask? This has coincided with what DHS has been saying all along, that approximately 70% of illegal aliens arrested under President Trump have pending criminal charges and or prior convictions. And these so-called nonviolent crimes, drug trafficking, distribution of child porn, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, and human smuggling, just to name a few.
So incredibly important. We talked about this yesterday. There was this pie chart that the left was trying to push out there that said only 60% of those arrested by ICE had any kind of criminal record. Wait, what is your argument? 40% didn't, so therefore ICE is wrong? It was Benjamin Weingarten wrote 60%. Is that supposed to be some kind of gotcha? Well, then they decided to change it around and say, well, only 14% had violent crimes. What the hell does that matter? They were changing and moving the goalpost, changing the focus of the conversation to take away from the fact that these people, 60% were engaged in level criminality. And you just heard from Karoline Leavitt there, engaging the discussions of the criminality. The left cannot accept the fact that bad people have been removed from the streets, and people who break the law coming into the country illegally should not be allowed to stay. Not interested in whether or not people like it or not. That's it. This is what America voted for. This is exactly what should happen. And in doing so, maybe with better tactics, that is a way to win the midterms. 10,000%. More to get to, including my conversation with Congresswoman Erin Houchin. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. We take it back to the press conference.
Something that's come up over the last several days, again, regarding a separate topic, the Epstein files. According to newly released files, the president had a conversation with the Palm Beach police chief in the early 2000s, according to the police chief in 2019. The president has gone on record before, and he's told reporters that he said that that he had no idea about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. During this conversation with the police chief, however, he did say, according to this recounting of it, that thank goodness you're stopping him. He also called Ghislaine Maxwell evil. So my two questions are, did that conversation with Palm Beach police chief happen? And can you explain the discrepancy?
What I will say is that the president has always remained consistent and that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club at Mar-a-Lago because, frankly, Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. And unlike many other people who are named in these files, President Trump cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and was honest and transparent about that for years and years. And so I think what the president has said all along has always remained true. And the release of more than 3 million documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous, disgusting crimes just shows the level of transparency that this president and administration has committed to in bringing these files to light.
But did he call the chief in 2006? Karoline, did he call the chief?
Look, it was a phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006. I don't know the answer to that question. What I'm telling you is that what President Trump has always said is that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, and that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning. And I'm sure many of you, when you read that alleged FBI report, probably thought to yourself, wow, this really cracks our narrative that we've been trying to push about this president for many years. So we're moving on from that. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I want to ask you about the SAVE Act. NBC reported that there's some hesitation among House Republicans on adding absentee ballot restrictions into the SAVE Act. Can you explain what the hesitation is among House Republicans and also just provide the status of negotiations with Congress on the legislation?
Sure. I can't speak for House Republicans, Reagan. I can obviously speak for the president, who is quite possibly the strongest supporter of the Save America Act, which, as you know, would require proof of citizenship to register to vote. It would require proof of identification, a photo identification before casting a ballot. And it would also ensure that there are exceptions made. I think that's what you're alluding to with these conversations with House Republicans for reasonable requests, of course, for our military, for individuals who are disabled and cannot make it to the polls. Those are reasonable, common sense things that I believe House Republicans are discussing amongst themselves. But as for the president, he's been very clear. He wants House Republicans and Democrats too, if they were politically wise, to pass this legislation, for the Senate to pass it, to send it to the president's desk so it can be signed into law.
Follow-up. I'm wondering when the last time the president spoke to Leader Thune was, and if he discussed using the standing filibuster to pass legislation.
The president has given his position on the standing filibuster. As for his most recent conversation with Leader Thune, frankly, I'm not sure. I do know they speak very frequently. The president's in constant communication with both Leader Thune and the House Speaker, Mike Johnson. We switched up our seating chart. Your direct line of sight now. Congratulations.
Correspondents Association for recognizing the New York
We got
Post.
one or two more questions in.
I've got two questions for you. One about the Guthrie case and then another about infrastructure. On the Guthrie case, does President Trump have a warning to the culprits here about what would happen to them, what federal consequences they would face if they do not release Nancy Guthrie unharmed?
I think anyone who was involved in this depraved crime, this abduction, of course, we want to be seen held to the fullest extent of the law possible.
And infrastructure, can you explain why President Trump asked Chuck Schumer to help him rename Penn Station and Dulles Airport after himself? Why is he interested in having his name on those two buildings? And why are the Gateway Tunnel funds the proper point of pressure to get that to happen?
To your first question about the renaming, why not? It was something the president floated in his conversation with Chuck Schumer. As for the funding, the president has addressed that separately himself. Danny.
Thanks. Today, the vice president's account posted and then deleted a tweet about the Armenian genocide. And then last week, President Trump's Truth Social account posted and then deleted a racist video about the Obamas. And the White House again blamed that on a staffer. I wanted to ask you, does the White House have a social media problem at the moment? Do you have an auto-posting problem that's leading to these mistakes?
No. As for the Armenian tweet that you're referring to, I would just refer you back to the White House's message that was issued on Armenian Remembrance Day, and there's been no change of policy at this time. Mary?
Thanks, Caroline.
Well, I don't know why you're posting about Armenian genocide in the
Does he
meeting.
have
That I
plans
didn't
to
know.
try and advocate
First
on
I've heard
behalf
of
of
that.
Jimmy Lai, who was just sentenced to 20 years yesterday?
This is something I've heard the president advocate for both publicly and privately. I had the honor of being in that meeting with President Trump and President Xi in South Korea that took place, and this was brought up by the president himself. It is important to him, and he looks forward to visiting China in April.
Now,
Go
that
ahead.
story
Thanks,
there
Caroline.
about Jimmy
So some
Lai,
Republican
LAI, is a really important one. And yes, I do have to go because we have more show to do, which you'll hear at WIBC.com. This is Hong Konger, opposed to the Communist Party, critic of Beijing. He got sentenced to 20 years by a communist Chinese court. He got publicly disappeared. And so this is a real story and a real, true, horrifying thing to witness. I assume that by talking about it, LeBron James would tell me that my problem is I need to get educated on the subject. No. This is what happens when you allow the communists to be in charge. It's how I know we have a free country. I'm not in jail, and neither are you. Guys, I got to run. I appreciate being here. More radio coming at WIBC.com. Be sure to tune in for that. My conversation with Congresswoman Erin Houchin and also Dr. Matt Will on what's going on with this economy and how sales were flat in December, but it might not mean anything because earnings are incredible. I appreciate you guys. You're kind of fantastic. I'll catch you tomorrow, everyone. Take care.